Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. My name is David and today's video is a really short one. We'll see how to line a mousepad with a small piece of leather by simply using some leather glue. Now in the last video we crafted a small utility pouch bag out of gray and orange leathers. Today we'll be using exclusively the gray leather, and this is going to be the second item of a family of leather products of a portable office that a friend of mine asked me to do. In this case, we're not talking about a leather good as such, since the mousepad she provided me was the actual functional product, and all I had to do this time was to line the upper part with the same leather that we used for the small pouch. Really, that was about it, so I'll confess to you that I felt really hesitant at first to make this video, since I believed it wasn't going to add a lot of value as other leather crafting tutorials. But something happened along the way that helped me realize it was actually a good opportunity to show you guys a quick comparison on what to expect with certain leather glues. So to begin with, I grabbed a small piece of gray leather and cut a rectangle out of it. For the rounded edges, I used a coin just to give some stability while cutting the leather, since it was a very slippery and flexible one. In fact, to cut it out, it was best to pass the blade several times instead of 1 or 2 times to avoid having any irregular cut. For the edges, I used some Angelus acrylic paint in gray color. This is not something that I would normally use, but since we didn't have a lot of time to finish the project, I had to use what was available at a time, and it ended up working quite well for a single layer of leather. And once the edge paint was dry, I used some Tokonole burnishing gum to polish the edges slightly. Now it's not a huge difference with this leather and paint to use this burnishing gum, but it does make a slight difference and makes the edges feel smoother. Then we need to mark where the stitching line will go around the entire piece, and to do that I used a 4mm edge creaser and passed it through the entire perimeter of the rectangle. Once the stitching line is ready, we can use a pair of diamond chisels to make the stitching holes by hand. For this project I'm using a 6 and 2 prong diamond chisels from Seiwa. Once that's done, we only need to stitch the piece, and for that I'm using a linen thread from Filo Chinois. To know exactly how much thread I needed, I had to measure the entire stitching run, multiply that number by 3 since it's a thin piece, and then add an extra 30 centimeters to handle the needles comfortably. So to begin stitching the piece, you can start anywhere really. In this case, I like to start near one corner since this makes it easier to maneuver on the stitching pony. This leather is very soft and you could stitch it without a pony, but using one is going to make it easier. It's way more comfortable that way. And once finished, I just needed to flatten the entire piece with a leather hammer and then place it on the mousepad and mark where it's going to go. Now initially I used the Balco glue I like to use most of the time on the crafts I do. I haven't found it online though, it's mostly used for shoe crafting. As you can see, the glue was really thick now. Not sure if it was because of the weather, since at the time of the video it was cold and the bottle was left outside a drawer, but you can definitely tell it was getting really sticky and thick, but still managed to apply it to both the mousepad and the back side of the leather rectangle. And after carefully gluing it to the mousepad and flattening it by hand, we were done with our project. Except we weren't. It was until this point I realized I made a huge mistake and made the leather piece smaller than it should have been and placed it very near the phone charging space. So I had to do the entire piece once again. Now thankfully the glue did came out easily and I could clean the surface of the mousepad without any trouble. This time, when I had the correct piece ready, I went on and used the acrylic water-based glue. I was going to use the Balco once again, but it left the surface slightly rough and I thought it would be a good time to try out the water-based one, and thankfully it worked way better than the first one. The glue was easier to handle and spread using a plastic card. I didn't get too dirty while using it and overall was faster to apply to both surfaces. Now when joining both parts together, it held pretty well and I was able to clean any excess of glue left on the edges without any major problem. Finally, since this was a thin glue, it left the surface flatter than the other glue, and this time we could say our project was done. So there you have it, friends, a short leather crafting video featuring two types of glues on the same project. Friends, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you find it useful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you wish to see more upcoming leather crafting tutorials, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.